Hi again, students. This is a continuation of Chapter 8 that deals with customer motivation. This is the second video in a three-part series that will cover Chapter 8. We've looked at how needs exist, how needs through the drive state becomes the desired state, in other words, where the needs are satisfied. And we know that that's the starting point and very important, but also we need to look at different classifications of motives. The first person who have done anything formal in this matter was probably Maslow, who developed a hierarchy of needs, which we'll look at just now, and then McGuire also looked at the psychological motivations. And then we also know that everything is not just psychological. We need to consider our emotions as well as economic decisions or considerations before we make a decision. Let's look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's based on basic three ideas. That is that all humans adopt a set of motives, that some motives are more basic than others, and that the most basic motives need to be satisfied first before we can move to a next level of needs satisfaction. Now, the first level in Maslow's hierarchy is the most basic needs of food and water and shelter, all breathing, air, oxygen, everything that we need to survive. Once this has been satisfied, we can move to the next level, which is our safety needs, where it concerns with our physical safety. In other words, do we feel safe in the environment in which we live, in the houses that we live? Is there stability in routine and familiarity and control over environment? Once this has been satisfied, we are in a position to look at our social needs, which is extremely important because this deals with relationships that we have with family, with friends. The sense of belonging is also referred to as belonging needs. We want to be accepted, we want to feel that we fit in. Our ego needs is more sort of inwardly focused, and that's what we're trying to achieve to ensure that our ego is boosted. And once we've achieved all of these levels of needs, we get to the highest level of need according to Maslow's hierarchy, and that is the level of self-actualization. And it's almost can be seen as our bucket list, things that we want to achieve. Like, for instance, going to space. Anything that everything that gives meaning to our lives, and beyond what we have achieved already. We know that all of these needs are going to be satisfied in a different manner by different individuals. But let's just recapture. Our physiological most basic needs at the lowest level is all these things that we need to survive, like water, sleep, food, oxygen. Safety needs refer to us feeling secure and protected. Our belonging needs or our social needs is we need to feel loved and accepted by others, and socially interact with friendships. This is probably the need that at the moment with the COVID-19 restrictions we have the greatest desire for, to have these needs satisfied. And then our esteem needs has to do with our egos, where what we buy, what car we drive, what watch, what clothing gives us a particular status in the community. And our self-actualization needs right at the top is anything that will enrich our experiences and give us self-fulfillment, It could be a doctor's degree. It could be, as I said, going into space. It could be to have your own business, and everything will be different for every individual. Now, it's not just for us as individuals important to understand the different levels of the needs hierarchy. It's also important for businesses to assist them with segmentation. And it's often used as a basis for market segmentation. It could also help with your positioning of your product in a market, because that is an indication of how the customers perceive your product. Look at that table, especially the right-hand column. It gives you an idea of well-known brands and how their specific campaigns speak to all the different levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where the physiological one right at the bottom could be something from Jungle Oats, where they say it's the energy of champions. When we look at security, we look at Trelidor, the ultimate crime barrier. When we look at our social needs, it could be a place like Olive Garden. When you're here, your family. It could be the Spur, for instance. Our self-esteem needs. We can look at Mercedes-Benz, where they had a campaign that says the best or nothing. And then when it comes to self-actualization, Adidas is quite known for the campaign that they ran that said nothing is impossible. Interesting to read through those and add your own examples. A lot makes sense once you have gone through this exercise. Maguire also classified his needs more specifically than Maslow, and his physiological motives were categorized into internal motives and external motives. If you look at table 8.2 in the manual, you'll see Maguire's internal motives that asked or required consistency. In other words, the need is consistent with your particular image. The causation, in other words, the need to know what or who determines the event that has happened to us. Independence, for instance, the need to express our identity to others. And then also the novelty motive, the need for variety and for difference. If you look at Maguire's external motives, or non-social motives, so to speak, we look at self-expression, the need to express yourself, your own identity. The assertion motives, the need to increase our self-esteem. Our affiliation motives, need to develop relationships that is rewarding to both parties. In other words, belonging to a specific or affiliating to a specific reference group, for instance. Our modeling motives, the need to behave like others do. These are all external motives according to Maguire's category. However, not all our needs are motivated by psychological factors. Our decision making is very often also motivated by our emotions and also by economic motives. Economic motives tend to be slightly more rational in nature because we can quantify them. Like, for instance, if there's a 20% reduction on the price on this item for the rest of this week, there's a buy one get one free. So some of the cost criteria that is used is price and installation, the cost of extras, for instance. We also have performance criteria for our products, like the durability, dependability, and efficiency that we consider before we make a final buy decision. Our emotional criteria that we use, those include all the social and the ego motives of Maslow and McGuire. Um, and although economic motives are sort of more rational, it doesn't mean that our emotional needs is non-rational. Customers do not necessarily act in a non-rational manner when they allow their emotions to also influence a buying decision. And it is very true that people are often reluctant to admit that what they have just bought, a specific behavior that led to that decision to buy a product, was influenced by the emotions. Like, for instance, buying the new iPhone. You have an iPhone and it's working. It was sort of your emotions on how it's going to make you feel if you have the new phone that affected your decision. And there's nothing wrong with that. The important thing to remember, people, is that at this point, when we're closing the second video in a series of 3, is that we have needs. We need to arouse these needs so they could actually be acted on to reach a goal, which is the satisfaction of that need, and then we will feel rewarded. In other words, our actual state has now been changed to a desired state. And in the process, we have to remember that there are certain needs that need more and greater attention than others to satisfy. In other words, the most basic needs for food and shelter, and oxygen and water is more important to be satisfied, and will be satisfied first before we look at any other level of needs, be it social, safety, esteem, or self-actualization.